Hey guys, welcome back to the Ethiopia tours. I want to make an argument that Ethiopia is bigger than we kind of think of it as, land size wise, population wise. Obviously we know the population, it's talked about a lot, but economically and the potentials and the different things in Ethiopia. I wanted to make an argument of why I think Ethiopia is a great place to invest and a great place to think about, especially if you're like a young entrepreneur around the world or in Ethiopia and in the diaspora. Investing in Ethiopia is a good thing to calculate. And I think that because I think there's a lot of ways you can play around all the problems that we have. So when I say it's a good place to think about investing, I'm not saying like, you know, it's New York City, everything is set up for you and everything is easy to invest and do and stuff. No, it's the opposite kind of. Like this huge opportunity here that I think if you are willing to fight it out through the paperwork and all the small problems that we have, calculated risk in the different areas of problems that we have domestically and stuff like that, I think the opportunity is great. And I think the opportunity now is greater than it will be in 3 years, 4 years, because a lot of these problems are getting solved now. So that's the argument I want to make. So for a lot of people, I don't know how we think about it, but when I read this, I was a bit shocked. Ethiopia is the 27th largest country in the world, okay? So that's a huge thing to know, like, because the way the globe map is shown to us and stuff, Ethiopia in the corner of, you know, Eastern Africa, it seems small and this tiny thing. And because that's why, you know, one of the problems that we have is when there's a conflict happening up in the northern area somewhere, people think the whole country, but it's a huge deal to recognize how big the country actually is. And within that, we have all the type of terrains and landscape that you can think about, from the desert of Afar, also in the valleys of Afar, amazing valleys in the Afar area for farming, desert for and also for farming and stuff, the mountains and stuff like that, the semi-mountains, even the Tigray regions, all the mountains and stuff like that. And then you keep on going down to the Omo Valley. So you have everything, all the things that can grow in Ethiopia. We all know about coffee, but one thing you didn't know, and I was just recently watching like an Indian company in Ethiopia farming tea in Ethiopia and saying like, we're gonna up our production so that this tea is so good, we're gonna up our production so that we can compete as a whole of like one of the best one of the best teas in the world. One of the things I'm gonna start off with is this size thing. In the globe, Ethiopia is very big. Ethiopia is 27th largest country in the world, so we need to think about that. Then we have the economics of the economy. So a lot of Ethiopian economy is informal economy. So about 30-something%, I think about 32 something percent is informal economy. So that's a huge thing for a country for 30% to be informal. So that means when you calculate certain things, you don't have to just go off some of the data. There's opportunities, there's pockets, you know. I'll give you something on that, just so that people understand. Down southern part of Ethiopia, most of the people, their currency is cattle. So they have a lot of cattle, and you've heard a lot of people say, Ethiopia has the largest cattle population in Africa. So livestock, but in the southern part, cattle is the main thing. They have a lot of cows, sheep, and stuff. So when I was down there a few years ago, I was talking to somebody and I said to them, I said to the kid, he was a young kid going to school, like he was home visiting his family and stuff. So I said, how many animals does your family have? And he said, I don't know. And so he said, we have a lot of beret. Beret is a word for kind of like barn, like where one cage, not cage, but like one fenced off area for, let's say 30 cows, 40 cows, cows and oxes is one beret. So I said, and he said, we have like 5, 6 of those. So like in each, he said anywhere from 30 to 40 to 50. So I calculated that, and I realized that if his dad sold all of those cattle and moved to Addis, he'd be in the top 1%. But the way they live, I mean, like mud hut, barely wearing anything, you know, the whole lifestyle, like, try to show you southern Omo Valley and stuff. You would never think that there's that much wealth there. Like if it was in the US and stuff, there would be credit for the animals, there would be this and that, you'd know how much you're worth because loans and this and that. But here, like, you don't know, like, until you want, like he said, like when his dad wants to send him to school, he'll take a sheep or something and sell it so that he can pay for it, and then that's it, it's done. The country, about 30-something% of the country moves in that way. I just wanted to make that informally. If you're thinking about investing in Ethiopia, one of the great things to try to think about and try to attach yourself to is the big state-owned companies in Ethiopia. So Ethiopian Airlines, one of the biggest airlines in the world. Ethio Telecom could be considered one of the biggest telecoms around the world because it has, 70 million subscribers and users and growing, because the Ethiopian population is about 126 million or something like that. So that's a huge thing. So and they're really modernizing. So check those out. They're really modernizing things. They're really trying to, be like mobile friendly, smart. Digital Ethiopia is one of their things that they're really pushing. So apps on there, payment systems on there, like Ethio Bir, which is our payment, like Venmo and stuff. Like if you want to pay each other by your phone number and stuff, like that's been a huge thing. So there's a lot of things to do in working with them. Ethiopian Airlines, like I said, is one of the biggest. So if you can set up bigger manufacturing, if you have actually like tomatoes, like vegetables that they need, eggs, apparently even, they import eggs and stuff from different places. There's a lot, because it needs to be a certain level. For Ethiopian Airlines is Star Alliance, in the Star Alliance group, so everything needs to be a certain level. So like, the tomatoes that are grown organically in somebody's farm may not qualify because of all the tracing and tracking and stuff that you would need. My electricity went out, and I'm gonna continue. So the electricity just went on, I don't know, we'll come back soon. So I'm gonna continue. So those state-owned things are very good. And one of the things that makes me say Ethiopia is bigger than we think it is, because recently the CEO is being interviewed. So the whole state-owned companies in Ethiopia have been put into essentially what's like a state wealth fund. So it's been put under that Ethiopian Investment Group, I think that's what their name is. Anyways, it's been put under one umbrella so that it can be monetized, like, controlled. We know how much the asset is. Then it pays dividend to the government, federal, so that, the government can use it to subsidize deficits and stuff like that. And then also it invests in different things. So one of the ways they're trying to do that is because they have all of these, Ethiopian Airlines, Ethio Telecom, about 40 companies under their umbrella. So like if you're, let's say, a big player in whatever sector, and you want to come to Ethiopia, let's say solar, you wanted to come to Ethiopia and do it in Ethiopia. Essentially what they can do is they can be your partner. So they can invest within you to do it in Ethiopia, money, and have some shares. They can be your recipient. So if it's a thing that we need in Ethiopia and we actually maybe import from abroad, they will say, you set it up and we will guarantee that we buy from you. So you essentially have a customer from day one. Let me fix this light. So they can take it from you. And these are large things, so you can, if you're gonna think about investing in Ethiopia or trying to do something in Ethiopia, you can say, okay, what do they need? What do they import? Because right now there's a big movement of subsidizing anything that we import. So that's a huge opportunity. So for calculation of risk and stuff like that, you can say, okay, the government wants it, it subsidizes import. So you get the protection, you get help going through all the hustle. So we recently they announced this organization called Mesob. Mesob is essentially where you can go and get all your paperwork needs done in one office building. So essentially, if you need, let's say you need to get a business license. So before you'd have to go to somewhere else to get your name, then go somewhere else to verify your finances and stuff, then go somewhere else to set up the PLC, which is an LLC, and then go somewhere else to do. So now essentially you can do all of that in one place, get your ID, start a company and all of that and stuff like that. But then also if you're a bigger investor, they've set up channels where you can go to them. So the Ethiopian Investment Commission, I think that's what their name might be. There, if you're actually bigger, they can do all the paperwork for you. This place, Mesob, also, they'll do that with you. So those things are being solved, and that's why I think it's a good time now to think about what you want to do in Ethiopia. So the sectors that are available, there's so many sectors. Tourism is a huge one, especially if you're from abroad and you have a network and in any area, like let's say you're a business person, you have a business network. Bringing business people to Ethiopia to tour, there's a huge opportunity, and you can partner with a million tour companies in Ethiopia, because one of the main things of bringing people is the hardest part. The services here can be done to whatever level that you'd like, anywhere from taking private flights to vans throughout the country, anything can be set up. So the idea is like bringing people, like if you're in whatever, like a Christian church leader, or not maybe the priest may not want to tour around with groups, but if you're within a church and you're able to get together 20 people a year to come to Ethiopia and travel, 30 people a year, maybe 3-4 groups, that's a bit of money for you and also for Ethiopia, and also it's an amazing opportunity. So, and then you can expand. Religious leaders, Muslim leaders, like from Muslim mosques and stuff. Ethiopia has a huge potential. Jewish, Israel has, there's a lot of people that come from Israel. There's just so much opportunity that you can do that. Then let's say you're in maybe like a little bit of farming, agricultural stuff. There's a huge opportunity here to produce the vegetables and stuff that we need. But also one area that I've been thinking about is mushrooms. So in Ethiopia, we don't really eat mushrooms. So it's a huge opportunity to grow, but sell from here, because Ethiopian Airlines covers a lot of area, and Asian countries especially, we have a lot of flights there. And from Ethiopia, they're within like 8-hour flight. Ethiopian cargo is huge. So that's like one area that I've been thinking about for a while, but like if I knew how to do it and had extra cash to do it and stuff, that would be a huge thing. And then also the international hotels within Ethiopia would take those, like special mushrooms that they can use for different things. So that could be a huge area. The other thing is partnering with Ethiopian local, like coffee farmers, like fruit farmers. There's just any area that you can think about, there's potential, especially if you can help improve quality techniques, manufacturing processes, tracing processes, and stuff like that. So I think that's a huge opportunity. Let's go on to the next idea. So with the economic reform, one of the whole economic movement thing, one of the things that happened was with the money. So essentially if you went to the bank and you had $1 before the economic reform recently, maybe less than a year ago, if you went to the bank, you'd get 57 birr or something like that, okay? If you went to a black market, that would have been like 120 something. So essentially they wanted to get rid of the black market, so they put all of this money in from the World Bank and IMF and stuff like that to reform it. So now, essentially, anywhere it's 120, I think 100, maybe 130 birr through the bank and stuff. And if you went to the black market, maybe 2 birr, 3 birr, 5 birr, I don't know now, because like there's no need to do that anymore. The difference is so little. So that has caused so much business and so much opportunity to actually come to the bank system, to the formal business sector. And one of the most important things you need to know about that is that I don't think a lot of people talk about is that in Ethiopia, essentially before, let's say you're a coffee farmer, and like I told you, $1 is 57 birr in the bank, and then informally it's 100 something, 120 something. So what they do is they'll sell you the coffee for cheaper, because like it's cheaper than it should be on the market, global market. Whatever dollars that they get from that, they import something else with it, and then they would charge you the black rate for whatever they imported. So essentially, like the money flowed that way. So the country didn't really benefit, because I mean, like, as a business person, you're not trying to lose money, so you're gonna think of any way you can make money. So if I exported coffee and got $1,000, then I will buy a phone with $1,000. And then when it comes to Ethiopia and I'm selling that phone, I am calculating it in the black rate. So, the bank rate doesn't matter. And they'll put some money in their banks to show some movement and stuff, but like that's essentially what's going on. So now you don't need to do that, and that opens up so much opportunity. The amount of money the amount of dollars you can keep in your bank is huge. So that reform has opened up huge potential, because now me and you trading from Ethiopia or abroad, like doesn't matter. You can send money to my bank account, and I can send it. We don't have to play different games and stuff like that. And that really is a huge deal. And that also opens up a lot of different sectors for, like simple tour guides, for video editors. From Ethiopia, you can edit for, they can edit for you abroad in the world. For graphic designers, architects, and stuff like that. So, digital economy can really open up, because we can trade. I'm gonna send you files from here, and you pay me. It goes right to my bank account. There's no fraud for you. You don't need to be scared. And for me, I know I'm getting my money. So it opens up a lot of that area where it makes it clean, and opens up the opportunity to set up for this nomad kind of online market. So video editors, designers, architects that I can think about, like I said. So many different things, really. Writers, assistants, there's really smart, well-educated people that would make great researchers, social media managers, and stuff like that. So there's something I'm working on that area for people, but that's an opportunity in Ethiopia. So the bigger opportunity. So one of the things, the economy is growing fast, the tech hub is growing fast, and if you can realize like your skill and do it from Ethiopia, one, to get a staff, really good educated people as staff, is much cheaper than it would be in the West. And number two, you can train a lot of people. So one of the hard things that you encounter is our behavior, discipline, attitude towards work and stuff like that. But that's trainable. You set up the right incentives and the right progression and the right coaching, but you can really do amazing stuff. Website developers and stuff. Like, there's so much you can do here, and that's the argument that I wanted to make. It's just, you need to realize this huge potential. And the biggest companies in the world are not built when everything is going right? The biggest companies in the world are built when there's problems and they can solve the problem. They solve it. That period when things are bad, is solved, and the company comes out stronger and bigger. And I think in Ethiopia right now, that's one of those opportunities. The next 3-4 years is the next big opportunity to really set yourself up in any sector that you can think. Mining is a focus. Tourism is a focus. Agriculture is a focus for things that we want to just export, because we have the land to farm and cultivate. So if you can bring in technology, machinery, some money, you get land from the government, partner with the government. Export is easy through Ethiopian Airlines, like I said, or the cargo, or the shipments and stuff like that. when I say easy, there's steps, but like obviously that's one thing they're pushing a lot for. So essentially, there's just anything like agriculture, like I said, energy, even cryptocurrency. So crypto mining, there's a lot because we produce. So one of the things about Ethiopia is like we do actually produce a lot of electricity, but distribution we have a lot of problems because our wires and lines and stuff, everything needs to be updated. So one of the things they're doing, there's actually a lot of Chinese crypto mining set up closer to the hubs for electricity, just producing a lot of electricity because the government will sell it to you for cheap. So that's amazing thing. But also solar energy in rural areas, irrigation work. There's just an amazing amount of work that can be done. So I just wanted to make this video just so that people realize the potential is there. Yes, it's hard, but the hard part about it is things that we can pass. It's just so annoying that it takes you a week to get one piece of paper signed. But you hire somebody and you work on it and you pass it. I mean, it's just something that you grind through until everything gets solved slowly. They're digitalizing a lot of it, so hopefully that would be smooth and we can do everything from our phones right now. I mean, payments and banking and even monthly reports and stuff, those are being solved already, but just still hustle. But those things are not actual concrete things that block you from succeeding. Those are just things that you have to push through and you can make it. So that's my takeaway from today, and I hope you guys let me know what you guys think. I just wanted people to realize Ethiopia is actually much bigger than it is, economically, size-wise, opportunity-wise. Yes, we have problems, but pushing through the problems, we have a lot of opportunity. In any fields, like I said, mining, agriculture, tourism, if you're like a coder, specialize in, even like cybersecurity, there's not an area that you can, anything manufacturing. Take a look at someone like Ethiopian manufacturing, like what do you call this, furniture, stuff like that. Opportunity is limitless, and from Ethiopia, there's about 1.8 billion people that live within an 8-hour flight of Ethiopia. So setting up that economy is amazing. So I'll leave it to you from there. Hi guys, my name is Dejani, and I hope you guys like this. And I'm here to share with you guys my love for Ethiopia and traveling around Ethiopia and showing you guys different things. And so please subscribe and let me know what you think. Let me know what you would like me to make a video about, because I haven't traveled in a bit because I've been working on some stuff that I'll be announcing soon. But other than that, let me know.